Okay.
Because they could call it
Check.
residential recovery.
Okay. All right. Wait for Marty. Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Zoning Board of Adjustment regular meeting for July 15th, 2026. Francine, can we have a call to order?
I hereby announce pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act that adequate notice of this meeting has been transmitted on January 14th, 2026 by the Board Administrative Officer to the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, the Township Clerk, and has been posted in the meeting room and in the entrance hall in Town Hall, all pursuant to Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act.
Thank you, Francine. Irina, can we do roll call, please?
Mr. Burkle?
Present.
Ms. Campus?
Present.
Ms. Gerhardt?
Present.
Mr. Luciani?
Present here.
Mr. Marzocca is absent. Mr. Giampolo?
Present.
Mr. Orfanitopoulos?
Here.
Ms. Costello?
Present.
And Mr. Arnone? We have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you, Irina. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence to honor the military, police, first responders, and those serving overseas? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Irina, I don't believe there are any resolutions to approve tonight.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we'll move on to the minutes. We're going to vote on one set of minutes for the regular session and the executive session for June 24th, 2026, and I think only one person can't vote.
I would do it separately.
Oh, we are doing separately. I thought we were
Please.
party.
I thought you were doing it together.
No,
Separate
because,
matter, okay.
because Mr. Orfanitopoulos
Yes.
cannot vote, so.
Do we have a motion, actually first, before we do that, with any edits or comments on the minutes from June 24th? Anyone? If not, can I have a motion to approve the minutes from June 24th, 2026, regular session?
I'll vote to approve the minutes.
Second.
Irina, can we have a vote, call?
Mr. Arnone?
Yes.
Ms. Costello?
Yes.
Ms. Campus?
Yes.
Mr. Giampolo?
Yes.
Mr. Orfanitopoulos?
Yes.
Mr. Luciani?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhardt?
Yes.
And Mr. Burkle?
Yes.
Minutes were successfully approved.
Okay, were there any edits or comments to the executive session of the June 24th, 2026 minutes by anyone on the board? There being none, can I have a motion to approve the June 24th, 2026 executive session minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve them.
I'll second it.
Irina, can we have a vote?
Mr. Arnone? Ms. Costello?
Yes.
Ms. Campus?
Yes.
Mr. Giampolo?
Yes.
Mr. Luciani?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhardt?
Yes.
And Mr. Burkle?
Yes.
For the record, June 24th, 2026, regular and executive session minutes were successfully approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Irina. Francine, can you please read the public hearing items we're going to hear tonight?
Item number 1, Zoning Board of Adjustment 2025-2, Maria Cody's, 33 Bayberry Drive, Homedale, New Jersey, RTH zone. The applicant is requesting a variance for the installation of a rear paver patio around the pool located approximately 1 foot off the property line and increasing lot coverage by exceeding 30%. Will not be heard and will be carried to the August 5th, 2026 meeting.
Thank you, Francine. Do we have the motion to carry this meeting to the August 5th, 2026? Can I have a motion?
Could I?
Without further notice.
Could I ask a question?
Of course.
What do we have for August 5th already?
We have on the agenda 2 items. We have the 8 Bayberry Drive patio. August 5th?
No, that's this. That's this application that will be carried,
And then there's also the Coptic Church.
which most likely will be
Bifabricated.
carried to another day.
Okay, so August
Yeah.
5th is available.
Yes, yes.
We haven't received any new plans from the Coptic Church.
No,
for review.
no.
Anything else, Gene?
Yeah, I'll move move the meeting.
To carry the meeting to August 6th, 2026 meeting without, what? August 5th, my eyesight is terrible. August 5th, without further notice.
A second, please.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Francine, do you want to read item number 2?
Zoning Board of Adjustment 2026-03, an application for bulk or C variance relief and such other relief as the board or its consultants may deem necessary. Honeycomb Estates 3 LLC to permit the installation of an in-ground swimming pool and appurtenant features. The property located at 798 Homedale Road, Lot 31.03 and Block 29. The property is situated within the R40A zone. This will not be heard and will be carried to the August 5th, 2026 meeting.
Can I have a motion to carry this item number 2 to the August 5th, 2026 meeting without further notice?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And Francine, number 3, please.
Okay,
We're hearing
zoning
tonight.
Board of Adjustment 2025-02, 24 Shank Road, Homedale, New Jersey, 07733. Said premises are also known as Block 17, Lot 3 in Homedale, New Jersey, and are located within the R40B zoning district. The applicant is seeking preliminary and final site plan with use and bulk variance approval to convert the residential dwelling into a private outdoor learning center and daycare, which are not permitted uses within the R40B zone. The applicant also proposes to construct an additional parking area and driveway. The second floor of the building will be used to store clothing and supplies for the nonprofit Village Forster Closet.
Okay, thank you, Francine. Mr. Alfieri, we have heard this application back in June of 2025, and we've had some new members here that weren't here present for that meeting. Could you start off giving us a recap, a brief, summary of what we heard over a year ago?
Certainly, Chairman. Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Dante Alfieri on behalf of the applicant. As was introduced, we are here on behalf of Tranquil Inspirations, Inc. As the Chairman stated, we were here back in, I believe it was June of 2025. At that meeting, we were presenting an application where we are proposing to have a residential dwelling conversion to a private outdoor learning center and child care center. At the time, there was also a secondary tenant who was occupying the second floor for Foster Clothing. That tenant is no longer there, so that is no longer part of this application. The application now is just surrounding the outdoor center and child care daycare center. At that prior meeting, there was questions from the board with regards to the circulation and the parking. We took those to heart. We went back to the drawing board, made some significant changes to the plan itself. I do have 3 individuals to provide testimony tonight. I do have the principal of the applicant who's going to provide a statement to the board, which will detail the operations of the site itself. And then I also have our engineer to touch on the engineering changes. We're not going to get into too much detail from the prior applicant or the first portion of the application because a lot of the changes took place that modified it significantly. And then we do have our planner, Ms. Cafone, who's going to provide testimony with relation to the planning side of things.
And Marty, just to be clear, this is a continuing hearing as amended.
Yes.
Okay.
As they're going to present that testimony.
Yes.
And we have, it's a new year's, and we also have a new engineer ourselves, so we're going to swear in our professionals now, just for the record, and just to confirm there's no conflicts. So we asked this last time. You're not aware of any conflicts?
Not aware of
with
any
us?
conflicts.
Board members, conflicts? We already talked about this.
Yeah.
Prior board member, but no one has a conflict, and we've gone through that
Yeah.
also recently, so we know
I-
what the rules
yeah.
are. So I'll swear in our professionals. You both swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God with regard to this application. For the record, our professionals are sworn.
Thank you. So I have Ms. Perez here, who is the principal of the applicant. She has a statement that she has prepared, which will detail her the proposed use itself, and then touch on some of the operations of the site. And then, like I said, we'll also have our professionals come up and touch on the site plan and then the variance relief being sought. So
Great.
that-
Once we have a couple of new members and it's a year, I'm going to swear all your witnesses again.
Certainly.
For the records.
Yes.
You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay. And just for the record, spell your name.
Spell my name?
Yes, please.
Jill, Jill, Perez, Perez.
We ask everyone.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Jill.
Take it away.
Yep.
Oh, just,
Yep,
okay.
go right
Thank
ahead.
you. So yes, I started this application 5 years ago, so thank you for hearing it another time. And when I started it, both Loretta and Bonnie were working in the zoning office. And honestly, they were cheerleaders as I submitted this, so I'm very grateful for that. And I'm grateful, it's been a journey. I've met so many wonderful people, so thank you for being here today to help with this application. It actually, Tranquil Inspiration has evolved because it is now a nonprofit. It's a 501c3, and its mission is to provide a learning and garden space that encourages a return to connection, purpose, and the simple act of creating with our hands. At the forefront is land stewardship and promoting essential life skills to strengthen families and communities. And I hope to convey to you, the board, that this endeavor provides an intrinsic value to our community by advancing outdoor education, fostering environmental stewardship, encouraging self-sufficiency, and honestly, as a lifelong resident of New Jersey, the preservation of the Garden State. So, I do have a statement. I want you to hear my heart, but I also have many points written because I want to convey this. After 5 years, there's so much that I just want to get out there. Tranquil Inspirations was created really from the deepest place of my heart, to serve our community and respond to the growing needs of our children. As both a parent and a teacher, I can no longer ignore the increasing number of children facing chronic conditions such as allergies, asthma, autism, ADHD, anxiety, and other health challenges. Through my own research, myself, I have a nut allergy and have changed things myself to understand that, and observations, I've come to believe that many of these issues stem from a growing disconnection from nature. As a society, we have drifted away from the simple healing gifts that surround us every day. The warmth of sunlight, the calming presence of trees, the vitality of plants, and the restorative rhythm of the natural world. In their place, we have witnessed rising levels of stress, anxiety, and chronic illness. And nature is really a solution without any side effects. Tranquil Teachings is an invitation to return to simplicity, to reconnect with nature, and to embrace timeless truths that nurture the mind, body, and spirit. It's rooted in the belief that when children are given opportunities to slow down, explore the natural world, experience the moments of peace and wonder, they will thrive. My hope is that Tranquil Inspirations becomes a place where families, educators, and children can rediscover the healing power of nature, cultivate resilience, and build a healthier, more balanced future where outdoor education is viewed as inherently beneficial. Outdoor education is not simply recreation. It's an investment in public health, community well-being, and future generations. Research from the world's blue zones, where people routinely live longer, healthier lives, consistently point to the daily interactions with nature through activities such as gardening and walking as part of a healthy lifestyle. Time spent outdoors increases physical activity, encourages vitamin D production, reduces stress, supports healthy breathing, and decreases screen time. In just a few generations, we have evolved into a culture where our children can identify corporate logos, consumer brands more readily than they can the plants, leaves, and seeds that produce their food and sustain life. This disconnect has had consequences. Teaching young people how food grows, how ecosystems function, and how to care for land builds knowledge, resilience, and appreciation for the environment. Our logo involves the dandelion, and I think it's a best example out there because the perception of dandelion is one of a weed. But in reality, it's a model of resilience, adaptability. It provides us with food and medicine. And in fact, the entire plant is edible. Its roots, its leaves, and its flower. And its life cycle, when we look at it, the flower, the bright yellow flower is the sun. And the delicate seed head is the moon. And then when you disperse those seeds and you blow them into the wind, it's the stars. It's the first plant that grows after a long winter because it's designed to cleanse the liver after a cold season that's absent of fruits and vegetables. Instead of seeing this valuable health benefit, modern society destroys it with pesticides. And this is especially concerning in light of a Supreme Court hearing ruling in which now Bayer is shielded from lawsuits from its product Roundup. We are living in an age where seed patents, corporate control of agriculture, the prevalence of seedless produce has significantly impacted the quality of our food. Respectively, as a teacher, I personally feel that the most important lesson facing future generations is the role that seeds play in maintaining healthy ecosystems and food security. Seeds themselves represent the foundation of life. Understanding where our food comes, why biodiversity matters, and the importance of preserving seed varieties has become even more relevant. In addition to outdoor education, Tranquil Inspirations will provide hands-on instruction in practical life skills that have become less common in educational settings. Programs such as home economics, woodworking, food preservation, and promoting well-being, skills that complement traditional academics, connects the theory to the real world application. These lessons build confidence through experiential learning while developing an appreciation for craftsmanship, sustainability, and the value of producing rather than simply consuming. By preserving and teaching these essential life skills, we work to ensure that generational knowledge is not lost, but instead continues to benefit the public for years to come. This mission is deeply personal to me. When I purchased the property, I made a promise to the Menzel family that I would continue their legacy of gardening and educating future generations about the importance of agriculture and environmental stewardship. Our educational approach is holistic. It inspires youth to appreciate local farmland, understand where the food comes from, and be responsible caretakers of the land. Through these experiences, we hope Tranquil Inspirations will become a respected and valued asset within our community. Furthermore, the operations at Tranquil Inspirations are designed to complement, not burden, the surrounding area. Activities will be conducted in a manner that minimizes traffic, noise, and any other inconvenience, ensuring the quality of life for neighboring residents is preserved. Ultimately, this application represents a forward-looking investment rooted in tradition, education, and environmental responsibility. It fosters the development of informed, capable, and resilient individuals while honoring New Jersey agricultural heritage as a garden state. So, just wanted to get all that information out there because this is deeply personal to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you,
we're
Ms. Perez.
At this point, I think we'll open up to the board if any questions for the board for Ms. Perez.
Yeah, I have a question. We have Homedale Park.
Gene, is the light on?
Right. Yeah, well, there's a red light on it. Yeah, we have Homedale Park and we have Bayonet Farms, and they have a large area that people can use. Why wouldn't you try to operate out of one of those places where you could impact a lot more people?
Well, I believe that maintaining this existing farmland, right? So it's 3 acres, and when I had met with the owner, he had offers to sell the house, and everybody just wanted to knock down the house and not encourage the agricultural component. And I just think having another farm is important, right? Wherever we can garden is necessary. And so this provides us with the opportunity to have classrooms, to store materials, to have teachers on a regular basis provide these skills. So I do think that this personalizes the experience, and it absolutely maintains the garden aspect of our town. So the more we can preserve all these homes that were built in 1880 on these beautiful pieces of land, I think the more it's going to benefit our community, and it allows our children to kind of have this stake in something that they can regularly visit. I know the park they can go to as well, but now they're associating different teachers and different experiences and seeing their role in this garden state. So I think it's necessary that we preserve as much land as possible.
Gene, any more questions?
No, okay, it's mostly about preserving land. I mean, you could do this somewhere else that's already established, right? Like
Well,
Bayonet Farms or a park?
What happens as well is our teachers are there, they're preserving seeds where we want to incorporate classes like sewing and knitting, which, is something we're trying to preserve as well. So storing all these materials, having these children come, there's a kitchen in the house, so we would like to have some small groups cooking as well. So the building lends itself to having these experiences. And again, when I went to school, I had home ec, I had sewing. It's not there anymore. So we are trying to bring that back. I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for 25 years. I taught at Rutgers at the Graduate School of Education for 10 years. I did supervision for Seton Hall, and I've seen schools change. And I really feel that this needs to be brought back. And so we're trying to create that environment.
Gene, any more questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. You know, I was actually thinking, before we actually ask more questions on the board, Kate, do you want to give, Ms. Keller, do you want to give a response, a kind of summary of all what the variances are entailing here, what they're requesting, and what the criteria for variance relief would be?
I'll give a brief summary of that because I know their planner is here tonight, and I want to let her do that part tonight. But I'll give a brief summary. But that's a good segue because Jill, thank you for your testimony. Appreciate the information, and I'm sorry to bring it to kind of like the boring, not boring, but the less heartfelt side of it. But I just wanted some clarification on exactly what uses you are proposing here. So because of the first application, you had the outdoor component, you had a daycare facility, and then you also had, we had the whole thing with the village foster closet, which I understand is no longer part of it. Sorry, hold on. So then, but the question is, and but looking at the newly resubmitted application materials, I thought that it was just the outdoor component, but in your introduction, Mr. Alfieri did mention the daycare. So, how is that going to operate? Because this was in my first letter. I took it out of my second letter because I thought that it wasn't proposed anymore. But essentially, I believe that the way that they've been operating the daycare now is that there's a specific type of daycare use that's limited to a certain number of children that is permitted without any type of regulation in all single-family residential zones in New Jersey, if it is operating out of a personal home. So obviously, once this kind of switches over, that will no longer apply here. So you're able to run a family daycare in which is a definition by the state, in a single-family home, and but this would no longer qualify as that if this use variance was granted and the property were to be used for the outdoor learning program. So I know it's a little complicated, and I know that I think that they are fairly similar. They're kind of complementary uses, but just for the record, I just want everyone to be clear about what is proposed to be going on the site. I think I appreciate all of the new information you gave about. I think they've lowered the number of students per class, things like that, in response to board comments. But this will have an impact on what variances are technically required, and maybe so. I just want to be sure.
Sure. So Tranquil Teachings and Tranquil Inspirations are two separate entities.
Two separate entities.
Okay. So Tranquil Teachings is an LLC, and that operates at 146 Route 34,
Right.
Homedale, New Jersey. And we actually just purchased additional square footage in that building.
And for the board's knowledge, this is the office building.
This is the office building.
That is next to this, or pretty much it's directly next door, right?
It's
directly
adjacent. Yes,
adjacent
they're
on
right next door.
34 at the corner of Shank and 34.
So, we were asked to help some families out with childcare. And again, I'm a teacher, so as children have needs, that's what I do. It's just how I operate. And so seeing that more families had these needs, I was keeping the daycare to the 5-child maximum. And we have purchased this unit to begin the process of creating a daycare in the building.
So in the commercial
In the
building.
commercials building.
Okay, so
it has not happened yet. That's going to be a long, I don't know how long. I mean, this is taking me 5 years, but I know it's not going to happen overnight. So eventually, those children will be moved into the main building, correct. As of right now, we're still utilizing that space. And, it is just a very small group of children. So, I did create a schedule and such that if we had classes, outdoor classes for little ones, again, similar in age, it wouldn't interfere with the drop-off of the daycare.
I'm sorry. So you're saying until you finalize the use of the new space on the Route 34 building, you're going to be having Tranquil teaching students at the home?
No. So
okay.
So, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to muddy the waters.
No, I don't think you are. I want to make this as easy for you because I'm just going to go ahead and say that anything that's not happening on this property, we are not concerned with.
Okay.
If it's all staying next door, then that's great.
Eventually, those students will be moving next door.
But where are the students now?
They are at the house right now.
So they're at the house right now. Okay.
Correct.
And so this is all thank you. Okay, appreciate it. So that's where it kind of becomes like a little.
Right.
It's all kind of like a timing thing. One thing I would recommend, maybe the board would approve it as like a, if you were to look at it, almost like a temporary use until the space next door could be to be finalized. I will also note, I can't say for sure, I don't know the site, but childcare is a permitted use in all non-residential zones in the state of New Jersey. So at least you have that going for you. Thank you, I understand that.
So
okay,
yes, the goal is not to keep our childcare there, but it has served that purpose. The ultimate goal is to focus on outdoor education.
Okay, because the main concern when it comes to this is both from the land use perspective and just looking at it from the variances is having what is technically two uses on one property, because I know they're really similar, but the people they're coming at different times. It's different teachers versus caregivers. It really is technically two different things. So that's all that I wanted to clarify. Maybe we can talk more if the board just looks to maybe talk more about what that schedule would look like, because I would recommend looking at it more of as a temporary use in which the township would have, would be, you could check in, we could figure something out rather than it being permanent there.
And I did prepare a schedule. So the way we want to operate is there's a lot of mud kitchens happening, right? So little ones, really walkers to age 5. They're meeting in locations. A lot of times they're meeting at churches, but they're outside. And parents stay with the children and they do different activities outside. When I was younger, we just played in the mud, but now these are supervised activities where there is a teacher present. They'll do a morning song and then they're just playing out in the mud kitchens, and then they close and they leave, and it's about a 45-minute class. So what Tranquil Inspirations wanted to do was create 2 of these classes each day, and then have an after-school activity that's open to the public, and then on weekends have workshops. So essentially we were looking to have 2 outdoor mud kitchens throughout the week for ages 1 to 5, again, varying levels for each of those classes. After-school activities, so the kids who are in public schools or other schools could enjoy gardening or sewing or cooking. And then on the weekends, we would open it up to different types of workshops that, again, support this type of natural learning. So that's how the property would be used. Plus, there's a garden there, so there, ongoing, there will be people in the garden assisting.
For clarity, if we could, it's Monday through Friday. You're proposing 2 Tranquil seedlings each day?
Correct, yeah, and actually Saturday as well. So 2
Saturday.
classes a day, Monday through Saturday, and then in the afternoons we would have 2 workshops on Saturdays and Sundays.
And how many children would be participating in those classes at a time?
So 10 children, and that's why we created a parking as such. So the parking lot has space for 12 people, so 2 teachers and then 10 families attending those events.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. And so I just wanted, just for the board's knowledge, I would recommend, there's this kind of a statement of this use on the cover sheet of the site plans. It's a little different than what you just said. I would go by what Ms. Perez's testimony just was, because what I'm hearing is that there'll be 3 classes. I'm not really concerned about what time the classes are, as long as they're in that 9 to 6:15 kind of slot that you have there, so that's fine. You have 3 classes per day on weekdays, which is what it states on here, but then also up to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. Okay, this says 3 classes Monday through Saturday, so we just want to clarify that there will be weekend activities.
Saturday, I just also have 3 classes. So it's 2 of the mud kitchens and then a workshop in the afternoon.
Okay.
So, and then on Sunday, I really just have a workshop.
Oh, wait, so I thought you said you said 2 of each on Saturday and Sunday. Okay, so let's just, the only thing that needs to change on here, it just needs to say up to 3 times per day, Monday through Saturday, and then, 1 class on Sunday.
I also have copies of the schedule.
Yeah,
If
no,
I
that's
can
fine.
pass them out.
That's
Okay.
fine. Okay, great. Yeah, maybe submit that as an exhibit, Marty, because that way that can supersede this this table in here.
So,
I have a question for you.
Sure.
If we approve this, is it approved to the use that you just described? Or
Your-
did you
your
decide to
microphone,
have more
Dimitri.
classes?
I would recommend that Ms. Perez think about what she would like to be doing in 5 years, and be honest with the board about that, because I think, and look, this isn't going to be some, it's not going to be Grand Central Station over there, but, I think just for your sake and just for growing your business, just growing it, just for everybody's knowledge, that, if these are really successful and you want to have 1 more mud kitchen a day, I don't really think that has that big of an impact, technically, in my opinion, if you're just adding 1 class or something like that, especially if it's between this certain time. But I would, So that I agree with. Yes,
It's just
that's
a little
kind of what you're
confusing
saying.
that why do we have to have a limitation? You know, the school's hours might be, let's say, 9 to 5, period.
Yes, they
And
can-
she can have as many classes as she wants in that period
I
of time.
agree.
So why are we getting into nitpicking how many classes, what type of classes?
Because it was offered by the applicant.
So
You made a
simply,
big mistake. You should have said 9 to 5 classes, that's it.
Yeah, and
I'm not trying to, I mean, again, I'm looking at the community in terms of what's being asked, what the need is, and that's another reason why it has evolved. Originally, 5 years ago, I did not think I'd be doing
no.
But no, the reason I'm jumping in here is we don't want the applicant
trying to
to
help
apply
you.
for a certain thing and then find out now she's limited and then she has to come back and spend more money to change it. Well, I added one more class, I did this. So
I agree.
if we're gonna do this and give you this application and approve it, and I'm not saying we are or we're not, but we should approve it for a school like you're having, or whatever you want to call it, nursery school or earth school, whatever the name of the school is besides the Tranquil, and not worry about how many classes you're going to have. I mean, that's my feeling on this.
and Kate, can you simply, sorry, did you just, Mr. Yudakis?
Not to get into the engineering too quickly, as I know Mr. French is going to testify, but part of what we need to consider too is the actual impact per class, and I mean they're
That's it.
providing parking
Right.
for the teachers and the parents that are going to be there. So
Well,
there's not that much turnover with 10 cars over an hour class.
Yes, and I think that we'll hear. I think we'll hear testimony tonight about the new parking layout because I know that was a concern last time. But Dimitri, I generally agree with you. I think that as long as they get there's hours of operation and that the board is comfortable and Al is comfortable with how drop off will work, I don't really see the need to regulate it past that
Thank
because
you.
she also has a certain amount of staff and everything.
Thank you.
Ms. Keller, very simply though, we are voting tonight on a D1 use variance to allow a daycare facility with more than 5 children. Is that what we're voting on tonight?
No.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So
Thank
for the
you
board,
asking.
very simply
this
for the
is-
board.
I was about to, thank you, Jason, I was about to go into this. So, based on the, thank you, Jill, I think we're good for now. So based on the testimony, that was given tonight and based on the review of your application, the applicant is seeking D1 use variance approval to permit an outdoor learning center for children school age and younger. Right, Jill? There'll be children up to like 13-ish? Sorry, I think there'll be, sorry, Jill, there'll be school age children too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, essentially, I don't want to operate at night. So yes, it would be daylight hours. Those hours may be a little bit longer in the summer, but it would just be daylight.
Okay.
And the schedule was based on that traffic pattern.
Okay.
That students would be dropped off at Tranquil Teachings next door at a certain time, and then therefore, if I was operating the mud kitchen, those children would be coming at a time that wouldn't be busy for our operations next door. So that's why I did put a lot of time and attention into the schedule so that it would coordinate nicely with other drop-off and pickup times.
I think that that's fine, and if it's up to you. I agree with Dimitri. If you want to, you get demand for one more class a day. I don't think that that's a big issue. So we don't want you to have to run into trouble with that if the board were to approve this tonight. So anyway, sorry. So the applicant is seeking D1 use variance approval to permit an outdoor learning center for up to 10, maximum of 10 children, approximately 10 children, whatever the board feels comfortable with, at this site. The other thing that I want to also note that was mentioned earlier is that I think as part of this variance, you would also want to incorporate the temporary operation of a daycare center or a child care center, because that is what Jill has stated. We're not sure how long that's going to go for, but I think that it technically is a different use. It's regulated under kind of different ways. And I think that that's something where the board could put kind of like a sunset provision on it if you felt comfortable, if you felt the need for it, or if you think it's fine, you could let her run it in perpetuity out of there. That would be for the board to consider, but that's not what she's proposing tonight.
I understand that, but I'm still confused. So let's say it's a rainy day. The kids are not going to come inside that day, or you're just going to cancel the class?
They're going to wear rain boots and raincoats, and class will happen. That's part of what this is all about.
Right,
This-
but
Yeah.
why wouldn't they want to possibly go inside or something?
Because that's not what these classes are. They're specifically outdoor focused and they're about the elements.
Oh, I get it.
Oh,
And
I
there is a
thought there
barn
was
area.
mention of a cooking class and sewing
Yeah, so that would be-
Is
that would-
that indoor or outdoor?
So that would be indoor. That would be one of the after-school activities. So in terms of the little ones, 1 to 5, it would be outdoor mud kitchens. And there is a barn area that has an overhang as well. So we could move in there also. But then there would be after-school activities that children in public school could participate in after hours because those classes are not being offered
It's sort of
anymore.
like two separate programs under the Tranquil Inspirations heading here, right?
But I'm still confused. I don't understand why this wouldn't be like a typical nursery school or a school. Like, I have my granddaughter going to a little place, and they go outside, they have activities outside, they're inside activities.
Because this is
What's
more
the
like,
difference?
think of it more like a piano lesson. It's 45 minutes.
But why do we have to make it complicated? Why can't we just treat it like a regular nursing school, and if they want to have classes outside, they can have them. If they want to have classes inside, they can have them.
They can, that's not what I'm talking about.
I'm confused. then.
Yeah, I think I want to simplify this.
Yeah, that's
What
what I'm trying
are
to
you
say.
asking for? What is the variance relief that you're requesting from the board tonight?
I think it's what I just said.
So there has been a huge growing community of homeschoolers, right? I mean, this is big. Like, Connecticut just passed a law because so many people were homeschooling that now they passed a law you have to be deemed a fit parent in order to homeschool. You look at Tennessee and there's almost more kids who are homeschooled than going to public school. So this is taking off. Parents are looking to provide, be the main educators of their families, and then they're looking for these other classes. Now again, with ages 1 to 5, some of them may be in preschool, some of them may not be in preschool. And then even after school, some of the children may be in public school and some of them may be homeschooled. So it is providing a different type of learning environment for certain ages. And again, those classes will be age appropriate. So the outdoor mud kitchens wouldn't have anybody older than 5, but the cooking classes would have students obviously older than 5. So there'll be classes catered to different needs. And again, I'm looking to serve all sorts of families who go to public school, families who homeschool, families who go to private school. I think really education is changing in so many ways. And as an educator, I've seen that. I wanted to support all those new ways that we're really looking to educate children.
Excuse me, I think the question was, what exactly are you asking for here?
I'm just asking that the property be used as a learning facility, right? So it's a residential area, and now we're looking to have children come and learn there.
Because, Kate, it's not a permitted use
It's
in
a
this area.
D1 variance.
It's a D1 variance.
Yes.
So for an outdoor learning center of up to 10 children maximum per day.
Per class.
Per class.
Per class.
Yes. And Jason and Dimitri and anyone else on the board, another way of looking at this. So this is, Jill mentions how, school has changed. As you all know, retail has changed, types of commercial districts, types of different uses have changed a lot over the last 10 or 15 years. And so we have not done this in Homedale, but in many municipalities, we have amended ordinances to kind of update, modernize, things that are permitted, not necessarily in a residential zone, but in general. And one of the new kind of like experiential, quote unquote, uses that we often include in an ordinance is a definition for something that we call an instructional school or studio. And this is something that can run the gamut from anything from children's tutoring to children's music lessons to gymnastics, just one class at a time, to adult fitness, to all different things of that nature. And the idea there is that because it is kind of an instructional class-based situation, it's not like an all-day drop-in. It's almost like appointment-based. So that's kind of different than an all-day daycare. So that I would look at this almost like the applicant has proposed. The outdoor component is almost like it's just descriptive of what this particular applicant is looking to do. But in my opinion, this is almost the equivalent of like someone seeking to run any type of instructional class for children for up to 10 children at a time. It's different than a daycare because it is class-based. It's not, you send your kid 4 days a week. They can go as often or as little as they like here. You go by the class. It's like going to like a yoga class versus Planet Fitness, almost, to put it in adult terms. But that I think is the way to look at it. Less focused on the outdoor aspect. That's how the applicant has described it, and I think it's important. I think it's part of the proposal here because if you're outdoors, they're going to make more noise. What's going to happen, etc. But the main use that's being proposed here, in my opinion, is really like a children's instructional school.
In the current law, you were saying how daycare is much more acceptable as far as the variance or variance relief. But because the daycare facility would be in a commercial property off to the side, there's no discussion of that here whatsoever. But if this was considered a daycare facility and we weren't doing a temporary relief or waiver of this, what are the ground rules for us to understand about a daycare facility?
A child care center would still need a D1 use variance in this location. And that is separate, I'm talking about a child care center that is separate than a family daycare home. That is a specific definition that is intended to allow people to run small private daycares out of private homes with a very certain maximum of children, things like that. And the idea was that, there's a shortage of daycare, we need to encourage that. But as soon as it's no longer a private home, and that as soon as you have more than a certain amount of children, it's no longer meets that definition, and it would require a D1 variance. However, a child care center is deemed an inherently beneficial use, by the state. Schools are, regular schools are, different assets. We've talked about this in other, other kind of uses. This is, and I'll allow the applicant's planner if she wishes to get into this. The fact is that this is different there's different levels of, what rises to an inherently beneficial use. If this was a daycare, it would be, because the MLUL says it is. If someone's getting like guitar lessons, is that an inherently beneficial use? It has some kind of benefit for children, but I don't know if it is. But the applicant's a planner. If she chooses to go that route, we'll weigh that. For example, it's a nonprofit. Is that on the public benefit scale? But in either way, it would always be a D1 use variance here.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question with all of this. Is there two separate things that we need to approve? Number one, approving an outdoor learning center on the property. And number two, whether she's operating a daycare on that property. Because I think you mentioned something, if it's over 5 children, it's not a family daycare anymore. It becomes more of a business. And I think the concern here is, one approval approves daycare and an outdoor environment.
Well,
We
that
are-
would have to be part of your approval here. If, because technically it's two businesses or two different organizations that are operating out of the same facility. So that would be part of your variance consideration. And that's why I noted that it should be considered, the one option would be to consider it a temporary use and sunset that, the ability for her to run the Tranquil teachings, the actual factual daycare. Let's call that like capital D daycare or something, as opposed to the learning center.
And with regards to the daycare, it's capped at 5 children. There's not going to be an
Yeah.
increase.
She doesn't need an approval under.
But
then because it's a double use of the property?
yes, and because it would be functioning, if it was to be approved, it would no longer be a single family home. It would be this use would be there as well.
See, that's what I understand. If she's only operating with 5 children, and you said you're allowed to have that kind of thing.
There's a special carve out in the land use law. I can read that for you. It is very, very specific what the
Right.
provisions are. I don't know if she meets that now. I'm not even going to ask that.
But nobody's living there.
Nobody's living there?
Living in the house.
Explained it to me.
I don't understand. So
Okay,
why
then
is
it shouldn't be
private home?
it shouldn't be a family daycare. Then I thought someone was living there. I thought that was the testimony last time. Yes, I was pulling it up. Yes.
No, if it's because the family has to live there, then I don't need any more explanation.
Family daycare home means the private residence of a family daycare provider, which is registered as a family daycare home pursuant to the Family Daycare Provider Act. And what that means is that it is, the definition, it's essentially, I believe it's, for some reason it's not all in this section. But basically, it has to be your primary residence. It has to be under a certain amount of children. So if it's not the primary residence of either you or another provider, then I think we're going to have to add that to the D variance tonight.
And Jill, can you add for the record right now, do you currently live in this residence?
I don't currently live in the residence.
Okay.
Does anyone currently live in this residence?
No, no one currently lives there.
So
Okay.
realistically, the whole building could be a school. You could have different classrooms for first grade, second grade, third grade, or whatever. for
Well,
each.
that's a totally different application than what we're talking about now,
So
Dimitri.
what happens then with that? What does that change?
If Ms. Perez, I think
Well,
that
let's just tell, and don't, see, talk general. Talk general.
she would have to meet the requirements for a daycare.
So that's a whole, so does
Yeah,
that
and that's
affect-
not that's out of this board's jurisdiction.
And this is just the outdoor learning
No,
center?
I'm not talking about the outdoor learning center.
Okay.
No, we're talking about Tranquil teachings, not Tranquil inspirations. I know it's confusing. We are talking about the current use of the property, which, to be honest, sounds like it's not fully in conformance with the law, but we are here tonight to potentially fix that. But anything that's any outside regulations, that would be up to Ms. Perez to deal with for, like, you know, having appropriate space and
So
everything.
you're telling me if she wanted to have like a nursery school, for argument's sake, the limit of the kids would be a greater allowed to have 20 kids or 30 kids?
No.
No.
But I mean, my granddaughter goes to a nursery school. There's no limit on how many kids are in that
Because
school.
but Dimitri, it's a use variance. She would have to get a use variance for it.
Yeah, so what's the
But
difference
we're not
from what
gonna
she's
give her-
asking for? It's
I don't-
very restrictive compared to what a normal nursery school would be like?
This isn't, so, the couple things, it's class-based, there's people in and out all day, that's not the case with the nursery school. And any daycare, any kind of thing that comes in here, we always ask them what their limits are going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's, you know.
And I think if I'm, again, one of the probably points that we have to get over the negative criteria here is that with a daycare, there's probably less traffic because there's a traffic in the morning at 9 a.m. and traffic at 5 p.m. picking them up. Throughout the day, if there's different classes, you're going to have 10 different cars coming throughout the day.
It's a
and-
different use, and that is one of the reasons that, as I also mentioned in my letter, there are a few exceptions in the state where, like, you know, something like this that she's proposing for the class-based learning center does not require state licensing as a daycare because it's a different kind of situation, and that I spell out in my letter. So, you know, the thing is that Dimitri, what you're talking about, of course, like, you know, there's bigger classrooms, but then it's like you have to get into like square foot per children, how many sinks per children, how many restrooms, how many staff, things like that, because it's it's regulated very, very differently than what's being proposed here.
And you have much different, I mean, even from a traffic standpoint, in a preschool, you have a drop-off in the morning and a pickup in the afternoon. You need additional stacking, queuing, safe drop-off procedures, all those kinds of things. This is not that. Parents are going to be joining their children there. They're going to go park, get their kid out of the car, and go to their activity, and then leave. So rather than having that morning and afternoon peak, which is kind of what we're used to seeing with a lot of uses we see, this is going to be divided up during the day.
Well, that's for the outdoor learning.
The outdoor learning center, yes.
Right,
Which
but
is
for
really
their
the subject of this
daycare,
application.
5 children, that's different.
Yes.
So there's 2 different uses here we're talking about.
Yes, and that's why I suggest that the one be looked at as temporary.
and a sunsetting of
As
this.
sunsetting, that's up
perhaps
to the
in
board.
12 months.
Yes, if I don't know, if you have a time, you know, we can.
I'm hoping within the upcoming year to have, you know, because the state absolutely has to approve everything that will happen at the main location at
Exactly.
146 Route 34. So
Exactly.
it's really up to the state to give me that licensing as I
And
move.
so if we approved a sunset provision for 12 months and for some reason you weren't able to do it, you'd have to come before the board again for an additional extension of this.
Just to make like a statement rather than, you know, it wouldn't need professionals
Can I
necessarily or
ask
anything like that.
Maybe it's a dumb question. You basically said if she's not living there, you can't run the daycare out of the house, but that's not for our concern. How on earth could we grant a sunset provision allowing her to run the daycare out of a house that she doesn't live in?
Because, thank you, Lori, because anything would be subject to state regulations.
That's why, how can we approve a daycare there if you
If
and
it's
her
not
have said
regulated.
there's not regulated? We'd have to square footage per student. So you're asking us to accept something, approve something that really needs to be looked at much differently if we're gonna say it's okay to operate a daycare.
So I agree with that, and I did not realize that this was not somebody's personal full-time residence. It was submitted to us as a family daycare home, and I don't know how Ms. Perez is running the current situation here. It might just be flying under the radar.
I mean, I did receive approval from the zoning board, so the zoning board was aware. I met with them, and they gave me
Who?
approval. So
This,
I.
what, this is not, this is not,
This
this
is
is
not-
The
not.
zoning officer?
The zoning officer, I'm sorry.
she
So
may have-
Courtney,
okay.
I personally met with Courtney, and she had given me approval.
Okay, she may have been under the impression it was a family daycare home. But we can look at that approval. I can look at that right
I'm
now.
concerned to a daycare center, not even whether we're talking about use or not, without following all of the regulations that was just pointed out here.
And Francine, it'd be a condition, they'd have to get all outside, and mainly the state, you know, approvals that are necessary. We would only approve the use, but we're not doing what the state would be doing. They'd have to still get state approval.
Exactly. It's like anything else. It's like anything that requires a different level of regulation, it's up to the applicant cannot continue to do that use unless they have the appropriate approvals,
Like
outside
wetlands,
agencies.
Like an outside thing, like a wetlands, if that was applicable, they'd have to still get that post-approval. We're not granting them the wetlands waiver.
Well-
I'm just talking hypothetical.
Yeah, Marty, can
Same
you start
thing
over,
with
because we didn't hear you on this side. Could you start over that statement?
Yeah, so we can approve the use, obviously, the two uses, whatever this board wants to do, but it's always subject to outside agency approval. So I'll use the better example, we're used to some kind of DEP approval, right, for wetlands. So just because we approve somebody's site doesn't mean they can build in the wetlands. They still have to get that sign off from the state. That all comes usually after the fact, and then it runs through our professionals to approve. And Al would be the one probably doing something like that to check on it when it's submitted as resolution compliant. Same with the daycare. They have to get, it's regulated by the Department of
I
Health
have
or
actually
something.
reached out to the Monmouth County Department of Health, and what I was told, and I have an email from them as well, that if I'm accepting private individuals who are paying privately, then I was not subject to any type of regulation because it is out of my home and I'm not accepting any type of state
Yeah, but it's not-
assistance.
but
I
you-
think
but
it's
you're
not a
your home,
residence.
yeah. That's for you to confer with the state and get the proper answers or approvals and submit to our professionals. I mean, again, we're not here to regulate what the state or the county may or may not do to you as a daycare out of a non-residential home. All we were gonna do is approve or not approve
See, but
the
my
request.
concern- My
This-
concern is our approval almost suggests that she can do this. And if she's not given proper information, because I'm concerned she doesn't have proper information right now regarding what the definition of a residential home is, and us allowing the use. I know you're her attorney, and I'm appreciating that, but you're her attorney for this. But I don't want it to make it seem like that we are saying it's okay for you to continue this daycare if you don't live there, because it sounds like, from what the planner just said, that it isn't. So my concern is if we legitimize it by saying, yes, you can run the daycare, it's sounding like, if I was an ordinary citizen, I would think, okay, I could run the daycare, and I don't want to give legal advice like in a situation where I think we may have overstepped a little, because we didn't realize what your living situation was.
Well, I will say that when I purchased the property, the goal was to get a variance and create a learning center. And when I went to the zoning officer, who at that time was Lonnie, she had said that the only thing I could do legally in that house at that point was operate a home daycare. So that is the information I took, and then I also reached out to Monmouth County Department of Health, and they had shared that again, if I wanted to accept private families, I could do so privately. If I wasn't looking to receive any type of state funding, then I did not have to adhere to any other regulation. So that was my understanding from the start.
Right, and that is my concern. I truly believe what your understanding is. I'm afraid the officials may have believed you were living in that house, and they were giving you information based on the fact that you bought this house and it's a residential home, it's in a residential neighborhood, and that was the purpose of the house. That's my concern.
Ms. Perez, did you ever receive a zoning violation for the site?
I had children on the site several years ago, and they weren't young children, they were older children, and I was told that we were too loud outside.
Okay, I have a zoning violation in the township's and I don't know if we need to enter this, but it's not, but a zoning violation from 12125 stating exactly what we're going off of here. I don't know how it was resolved. We don't have Courtney here to answer that, so I don't want to go too deep into that.
And that's when I met Courtney, because originally Lonnie had given me permission, and then I met with Courtney, and she told me that I could continue operations.
Okay, did she provide you with an official in writing or a zoning permit or anything?
I have a huge file I can check.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we'd, I hate to drag this out, but I think that that's something we need to know about. I don't know if that was ever included in your packet
And
or
what does
anything.
it say in there?
I do not. I only see a zoning violation. I don't see any resolution of it, but I may not have all the information on SDL.
I think it's wonderful what you're proposing, that outdoor thing. And I just feel that it's a shame it's being overshadowed by this other daycare thing. I would love to, well, I shouldn't say anything, but I think it's wonderful what you're proposing, the one use. I think the other use that's happening here on the property, I think is what's the concern for myself on the board. Okay, because I believe that if you are operating a daycare center, then it's a totally different story.
Yeah, I think that you know, from a, you know, it's a D1 variance. I think from a procedural issue, Ms. Perez would be starting out with a completely clean slate if we were just looking at the learning center class-based thing. I think either the continuation or, you know, even if the existing daycare center is not, you know, that's not really this board's jurisdiction if she was proposing to not continue that use here. It would be an enforcement issue. So I think that that's what's really complicating this, and I understand your need for space, and I don't think anybody here, I think we're all very empathetic to the needs of parents, and I don't think anybody's like, you know, like kick those kids out of daycare, but it also becomes, it's a liability issue for the township. It's, you know, there's a lot of things at play here, especially when children are involved, and so I think we need to get to the bottom of this.
So-
Whatever the existing approvals on that site are, because I don't see them.
I mean, it all really started because I was waiting to go before the board regarding the outdoor education, and I was told that the only thing I could do was offer home daycare. So I started utilizing the facility that way, and the goal is to move the children into a different location. However, you know, that is also taking a while. So at this point, I am serving
Why is
families.
that taking a while to get the kids into that commercial space around the corner there?
So there needs to be a different build out. There needs to be sinks in classrooms. The state has to come in, do environmental testing. It's just, you know, when you're talking about moving into now a location that's not a residential facility, there are a lot more. There's a lot more requirements.
Ms. President, I think we understand that, and I don't know what Lonnie told you. I know that what's in this zoning violation I'm reading, it says the infraction is running a daycare out of a single-family dwelling in violation of the ordinance. Family daycare homes are permitted in all residential districts. The family daycare provider must reside in the dwelling.
I did meet after that with Courtney and the fire inspector, and I'm pretty sure I have.
Okay, yeah, we just don't have
Right
anything on
in.
SDL, and I don't know
Okay.
anything more than that. And I didn't know this was an issue, or else I apologize to the board. I would have looked this up in advance.
No,
so.
I definitely had a meeting with them, and I was told that I could continue to provide that service.
Okay. Okay. I would, you know, I think that this, you know, if the applicant, you know, this is up to the board, and if the applicant, I think that this, if they, like, as long as the applicant wants to continue with the proposed use D1 variance, I think we can wait on this. We may not vote tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But I think that there's no reason that her professionals can't go forward with, you know, all of the changes to the site plan, and we can go through everything else tonight.
Well, I will want to finish the board. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to ask their questions on the board first, and then, John, did you have anything to add?
You know, I also wanted to ask, I heard you say in your statement, in light of a recent Supreme Court decision, but I didn't hear you identify or name the decision or explain, you know, why it's relevant to your application.
I just think that it's important now for us as a community to really begin to protect our children, right? So when you look at a company like Bayer, which was once Monsanto, right? They were able to buy the 3 branches of government. So now their product, right now they have many lawsuits from farmers that are worth billions of dollars, and now this case may throw all that out the window. So, you know, as an American looking at these 3 branches of government, we want them to protect us, but now they're not. And so I look at this as a way of us protecting our children. And yes, the government plays a role, but we also have to help ourselves. And so I want to make sure that we're giving our children the best start possible, and that is knowing where their food comes from, you know, because it is being sprayed with pesticides. It's being grown in labs. It's genetically modified seeds, and I want to go back to those heirloom seeds, and I want to get our hands in the dirt, and I want to take care of where our food supply is coming from, and our children will benefit from that because we're seeing the effects in our children. They're not as healthy as they once were. So I think it's extremely relevant.
What was the name of the Supreme Court decision you're referring to?
I think it was Bayer.
Bayer.
It was recent.
Yeah, it was very
Yeah.
recent.
It was a Roundup
And
chemical, whatever you want to call it. And Bayer is the main.
It's not a land use
They took over
decision.
somebody else, but.
Right, they
But-
took over
but-
Roundup.
Yeah, what
They
they call
bought
it.
Yeah, it's not a land use decision. It's sort of a corporate
Yeah.
responsibility decision. Yes.
And
Just have
the purpose of that was just to highlight that what this is bringing to the table is removing, I guess, children from, you want to call it corporate farming, and bringing it back to the home and having the ability for children to know what they're going to do and how to properly grow and potentially have their own farms down the road. This is a good way for those children to have that education.
I think it's very lofty and it's very admirable of her to do this, you know, one small thing at a time until it grows. And that's why I'm disappointed that we can't really, I can only speak for myself, really can't find myself to approve that second use, because I don't want what you're doing to be tainted by the other thing that we're talking about. And I know you made some site plan changes, but are those site plan changes related to the outdoor element, or is it related that you are continuing to do daycare on that property? And that's a concern of mine as well. I appreciate that you're looking into the building, because I'm sure you're going to run a wonderful daycare.
I mean, I just want to take care of children, right? And I haven't been able to use the property for that outdoor component. So this was the way in which I thought I'd be able to operate. And again, I'm not trying to, you know, throw anybody under the bus. You know, this was something that was shared with me from the beginning that I thought was a permitted usage.
If you have a zoning permit, that's all we need to see. I just can't find it. So, I mean, and again, I think that this is for the secondary use. We can, you know, board questions, of course, continue, but there's two different things going on here, and one is, you know, one is kind of separate than from, you know, it's not the crux of the application tonight, but it does have to be resolved.
Lori?
I think similar to what Francine is saying, and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, when you purchase the property, and I again love the idea of your business, which is, I loved it a year ago when you explained what it was. My concern keeps going back to, you purchased a property in a residential neighborhood that was zoned for residents, and I don't know that that was ever really your intent, which was fine, except it's been 5 years and now we're hearing the application, and I think that's what makes it difficult. Now, you've done a lot of work towards the business, but almost like put the cart before the horse, because we're here, and if you didn't live in that property, it is more concerning to me that what your intent was in buying a home in a residential neighborhood that is zoned for single-family housing. And I know other, a few other uses, but that's my concern, has been my concern. I didn't realize when I was here in 2025, I had no idea you were not living in that house. And I feel that that would have been impactful at that time.
Yes, Ms. Garrett, I'll let the but you know, we did have an application for what at the time was Tranquil Teachings back in like 2021 or so. That application was withdrawn, and so we didn't ever. I don't know if we really mentioned it because it was different. It was for more of like a schools type setup, like a kind of like a private learning kind of clinic. It was a different use,
Right.
And it came before the board once or twice, and Ms. Perez chose to withdraw that, and so this is a new use, so we didn't reference it. But I think that was always the intention, correct me if I'm wrong, was to use this property for children, child care and education.
Honestly, it was always to be used for outdoor education.
Yes.
And I was told that the only way I could use it without a variance was as a home daycare. That's originally what I was told. So, you know, I didn't want the house to be vacant, and so I just decided to use it in a different capacity than intended, again, serving children and getting them outside, right? A lot of daycare facilities, they're not outside. So I was able to offer that outdoor component. And, you know, when you look at the location of this house, there is a commercial building right next door, and then Consola Farms is diagonal. So I feel like it actually very much fits the neighborhood in terms of the commercial zoning next door and the agricultural component that's diagonal from it. But yes, I mean, I wanted to utilize these 3 acres and start teaching. You know, I mean, the world in 2021 was also a different place. And so I was trying to offer different options, educational options for parents. As a teacher, I saw the virtual model and the part-time model, and, you know, it offered families to look at a new way of educating students, you know, but I just wanted to create something that was a little more natural and organic for families.
Sorry.
Okay,
One
go
more
ahead.
comment. I
Go
dug
ahead.
into SDL a little more, and so 2 things here.
thank you.
Okay,
Yes,
yes.
I have
Okay, so but
gone
the
to
problem is
zoning.
that that's not what you're here for tonight.
Okay.
You're here for the outdoor area, and you this is, I might change my mind here unless you're gonna withdraw the daycare, because it's a totally different thing.
Okay.
You have to get that licensure and all things, or, you know, you need to prove to us that you don't need licensure, because that's what this was. This is a zoning violation issued, and I wish Courtney's not here, maybe we'll have her here next time. Issued 1/21/2025, and the zoning violation states that zoning board application must be submitted no later than March 21st, 2025. If not received, daycare use must stop immediately and return to a single-family use. And that the implication there, it specifically states, running a daycare out of a single-family dwelling is a violation of the ordinance. Family daycare provider must reside in the dwelling. She's indicating that the operator needed a D1 variance to continue the daycare.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
I was asking, why do we have to approve both things here?
Well, and
You know,
the-
because one thing is to me, one application, to
They-
take that residence and say, I'd like to be an outdoor learning center, which
It
I think is stupendous, is wonderful.
Yes, I was not aware.
I'm just concerned about giving it approval to do daycare.
Yeah,
I mean, if a child gets hurt there, right away, somebody's gonna look and say, was she supposed to be operating a daycare out of that house?
Well, and now, I wish I had been able to speak to Courtney about this prior to the meeting, but I think this is kind of if the daycare is going to continue, it's contingent on a D1 for the daycare and
Okay.
all the things associated with that.
All right, so, thank you for that. I want to, are there any more board questions for the testimony we heard from Ms. Perez for the last hour or so?
No.
No more, so if not, there are some members of the public here that I would like to open up to the public, to close the board questioning. And again, for the public, just to remind everyone, this is not a public comment, this is public questions for the testimony that was just provided by Mrs. Perez. So you're able to come forward, state your name and address, your full name for the record and your address, and ask questions about the testimony that was provided during the last hour. If there's anyone from the public that would like to come up, could you please raise your hand? Sir, come on up, please. Do we have an extra microphone? Yeah, no, thank you. Just state your full name, and I think Marty's going to need you to spell it for the record. No, we're not swearing in, no, okay.
Comments.
You just go close to the microphone.
Sure. My name is Frank Soma. I live at 27 Shank Road.
Thank you.
And my questions are just how something,
And you're going to ask the questions to Ms. Perez. That's the question, not to the
I don't have
board.
questions for her, I have questions for you guys.
Well, it's only directed to
Oh,
her.
I didn't understand that. No,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have any questions for
For Ms. Perez? No?
No, not at all.
Okay, okay.
There'll be a time later, sir, there'll be a time to make comments later if you.
Yeah, no, I just had questions for
How?
for you all, not for her.
Okay. Yeah, no, this is
You
just.
stated your case very clearly.
Okay, great, okay. Anyone else from the public that has questions for Ms. Perez about the testimony she's provided over the last hour? Okay, seeing that there are none, we're going to close the public portion, questions for this witness. And Mr. Alfieri, do you want to, no, we're not going to do comments, no comments.
Chairman, if we could have 5 minutes
Yeah,
before
sure.
I have my
Of
next
course.
witness come
We'll
up.
take a 5-minute recess?
Yes.
Yep, that's
Thank you.
great, okay.
For the record, 8:15, board will be taking 5-minute break. Thank you. Test, test. We're back. 8:34, board is back to regular session.
Okay, thank you. Perfect, okay.
Here we go.
All right, we are going to resume the public hearing of 24 Shank Road in Holmdel, New Jersey. Mr. Alfieri, I know you had some time to confer with your client. Do
Yes,
you want to,
Chairman, thank you. We appreciate your patience. So given the questions and the confusion with relation to the uses and the site plan that we have presented right now, it doesn't make sense to continue with the presentation at the present moment, so we would request to carry the application so we can go back, look at the site plan a little bit further and see what we can do to accommodate what the proposal would ultimately look like, and when we come back before the board, it'll be a much more clear and concise application.
okay, great. Irina, what are the possible dates that we have open in?
Would August 5th be
No,
too
no,
soon?
August
No,
5th
that
is.
won't be enough time.
No?
Yeah, no, yeah.
No,
No.
it's not, because we'll be carrying one of them again
Yeah.
from August 5th.
August 5th won't be enough time.
But you still got two others now. We carried the other two.
Yeah, but from one of them will be carried
No.
again.
It was the third one. We carried the.
How much time do you think you'll need? How many months? How many
Yeah,
months do you think you'll need?
But we'll have two, this and one more.
What's the first meeting in September?
Well, I was going to say October 7th. That's what I was actually looking
I
at.
think October 7th would probably make more sense as long
October
as my
7th.
professionals are ready.
Irina, does that work for you?
October 7th or October 21st.
Well, do we want to do 21st then?
21st.
That would be
21st?
perfect.
All right.
Doug, Drew, that's good for you, Drew?
We also have November 4th, if that would work.
I don't disagree with you. All right, we'll do the 21st.
Okay,
Okay.
October
so
21st.
Thank you.
I am going to. So can I get a motion to carry zoning board 2025-02 for 24 Shank Road to the October 21st, 2026 meeting without further notice?
We will be renoticing.
Because
We-
they're gonna
we
have-
will be
Yeah,
renoticing.
because the notice is, if they come forward with the second use, the
Mhm.
notice is as it stands is deficient.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
With renotice. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Burkle?
Yes.
Ms. Campus?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Mr. Luciani?
Yes.
Mr. Giampolo?
Yes.
Mr. Ofanidopoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Arnone? The matter of Tranquil Learning Center will be carried to October 21st, 2026, and notice within 200-foot list will be provided.
Yes.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you,
thank you,
Chairman.
Irina.
Members of the board.
Moving on, do we have any professional reports?
None here.
No. Okay. Can I have a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good night.